You know, I'm really not sure what to say, but I know that I am really, really disappointed at the good people in this world that should be out in the streets rioting right now and taking our country back. And instead, all I see is just a bunch of hot air being thrown out into the atmosphere. Big talk because you're all cowards. There's no brave people willing to stand up and lose everything. And you know that's what'll happen. You lose your house, you go to jail, maybe lose your life. See, only the brave will stand up and accept that fate. A coward will not. A coward will stay seated and allow this stuff to happen. Are you afraid of you're going to lose your YouTube channel? You're going to offend somebody at work? You're going to have the police come and visit you? Oh, you got a family? Huh? Charlie Kirk had a family. And I'm not a Christian. I got my issues with the Christian religion. I've got some pretty big ones. My main disagreement with Charlie Kirk was the fact that this is not a Christian country. It's never been a Christian country. It was not founded as a Christian country. The nation was founded with a separation of church and state so that religion could not influence state policy. It was founded under religious freedom, meaning you can be a Christian, I can be Jewish. Mac over there can be a Muslim if he wants. And Tom down the street can be an atheist. And we're all going to leave each other the heck alone. You can have morals and values without having to be a Christian nation. Saying that we're going to be a Christian nation and we're going to instill Christian values, that's no different than what the left is trying to pull. That's just creating a theocracy. That was my main issue with Charlie Kirk, but that was it. I liked listening to him because of how well he made his points and how well he was able to make his arguments. And the fact that he was a decent person who stood up for the family and keeping families together and not, oh, dad's the bad guy, so let's just kick him to the curb and let's celebrate single moms. See, that's part of the problem that we have right now is single moms that hate men. And they raise these kids that end up, they're boys that hate themselves, and so now they want to be girls. See, there's far more men that want to be women than there are women that want to be men. And they all hate themselves. And they hate themselves because mom and dad. Typically because mom sent dad away and said evil things about dad that weren't true. Dad's the abuser. Dad this, dad that, the man this, the man that. Broken families have done nothing but create dysfunction in this country. So I'm all for having values and protecting the family. Charlie was able to confront the leftists in a reasonable way and logically and reasonably show them why their ideas don't make sense, and the vast majority of them didn't want to listen to anything he said. They just get mad and huff off. They were left with nothing because what they believe in is bullshit. I have not been functioning right since Charlie Kirk was assassinated. And he was assassinated by a leftist, evil freak. And it happened because you Americans, the majority of them, are cowards. And like the woman on the bus that got brutally murdered by a black man, nobody lifted a finger to help her. No one. You do nothing. They burn our cities. They pass laws against us. They're openly racist against us. They call us Nazis and fascists. They want to force frickin' vaccines. They want to force ideologies. You do nothing. You talk a big game on Facebook. That's it. And that's what's going on right now. Everybody is pissed off about what happened with Charlie. Everybody's out there talking about how the nation's changed, everything's changed. Well, we're not taking it no more. Just hot air, big talk, no action. You're still going to sit on your butt and do nothing. And this is going to go away, and the leftists are going to continue to kill us and mow down our children like that trans freak did in the churches. You know, at the point that trans freak mowed down a bunch of children in a Catholic school, Americans should have been out in the street rioting. Where were you? Sitting on your butts, being cowards. In England, they're rioting. These Muslims raped a woman. They're out there. The British are rioting. What are you guys doing? Nothing. No, don't want to. Can't disturb the house. Can't disturb the YouTube channel. Don't want the police around. Oh God, cowards. That's what you are. You're not brave. We have no men left. See, it's because of your family, because of your home, because of your job, because of your YouTube channel that you should be out there in the streets saying enough is enough. The fact that the police won't arrest a libtard for issuing threats of violence and death against us, but they will arrest us if we issue a threat of violence or death, should be enough for you to be out in the streets putting a stop to it. Our founding fathers put into the Constitution the ability to go out into the streets and legally take them back from tyrants that would take our liberty and freedom. And that's what's happening. And Nick Freitas said it correctly. As soon as the libtards got control, they wielded power like dictators, because that's what they are. They're evil. They want evil things. I took my family years ago, about 20 years ago. I don't care if it's 20 years or last year. Nothing's changed. Believe me, I can still hold up in a fight if I have to. 20 years ago, took the family to monster trucks in Denver. My friend was going to pick us up, and he was there. We were there. We missed each other. Had to take the bus back home. And at the bus stop, there was a guy, a big guy, and I don't mean fat. He was big and stocky, probably 6'2", 6'3". I'm 6 foot. And I'm 6 foot. I'm not Wes Watson, 5'8", pretending to be 6 foot. I'm 6 freaking feet. This guy was bigger than me, and he was drunk, and he was aggressive, acting aggressively. Everybody at the bus stop were women and kids. I was the only other guy there, other than the drunk. I had my wife and kids stand off over by the rest of them, and I put myself in the middle between the women and children and this drunk ass, which he didn't like. Whenever he tried to step around me, I stepped in front of him, and I didn't back down. I stood my ground. I wasn't a coward. And that's not the only time that's happened. You know, when I was riding the bus, I had my license suspended for a while years ago, and I had to ride the bus. Got on the bus one night, it was late, and there was another drunk on the bus, being a violent asshole, scaring everybody. Once again, I put myself between him and everybody else, because nobody else was going to do it. And I drew all of his attention and rage and anger. Eventually, he got off. I don't know what bus stop. The bus driver had already called the police on him. Police were waiting for him. Nobody else stood up to put themselves between him and everybody else. I did, because I'm not a coward. I've seen people attacked, and I've intervened because I'm not a coward. What I saw on that subway when that girl was murdered were cowards. I mean, I could go on for another hour giving you example after example where I've had to intervene or get in between somebody or be the man to stand up and be brave, knowing that I might get a knife in the neck. Charlie Kirk is gone because you people are cowards. That's why. This nonsense should have been stopped 6 years ago, 16 years ago, 20 years ago. That's when it should have been stopped. But I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. When they're in our schools, when they're trying to frame this with the manipulative guilt trip that we have to save lives by giving children hormone therapy because their transgender mom, single mom, wants their kid to be trans, so she pushes it on them. When schools are not teaching reading, writing, arithmetic, and instead they're teaching, racism and white people bad and colonialists and Nazis, that's the point. You should be putting a stop to it. When we take people like George Floyd and turn them into heroes and falsely convict the police who did nothing, you should have been out in the street putting a stop to it. But you didn't. You let these people take over our city centers, burn our city centers down, ransack police stations, and torch police cars, and people were killed in these events. You sat on your butt and did nothing. Well, actually, one 18-year-old, Kyle Rittenhouse, did do something. An 18-year-old, one 18-year-old. He pretty much shamed all of you because he wasn't a coward. So when you go and you see yourself, you see the reflection in the mirror, just remind yourself that you're looking at a coward, because that's what you are. You're a coward. So I can guarantee you, without a doubt, absolutely hands down, on that subway to go after that innocent girl, he would have been meeting my fist. I can tell you that without a doubt. I would have been right up in his face. And it's already happened. I've already been there numerous times. Until Americans stand up and get out into the street and stop being cowards and worrying about their house and their YouTube channel and their Chevy Silverado and their precious little job, the left is going to keep killing us. They're going to keep killing our children. They're going to keep pushing their agenda. And all you're going to do is just Facebook bitch and act tough and do nothing because you're a coward.